Hello everybody, this is Shady here, and today I want to talk about when we can expect some news to do with Final Fantasy. Yeah, and in particular, mainly 7 Part 3 and 17. Because, okay, let's go over what we know so far. So, obviously, as we know, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 3, basically it's been in development alongside Rebirth. I think they said the story was pretty much being written at the same time. When they announced that it was going to be 3 parts and Rebirth in particular, they did say Part 3 was basically being developed as well. So obviously we know that the story's pretty much done. We've been hearing little bits here and there. We know that they're sticking with Unreal Engine 4. I think there was potential to move over to Unreal Engine 5, but thankfully they decided against that because they want to get the game out quicker. And yeah, obviously, we recently had the port of Rebirth. I say recently, but yeah, obviously we have the PC port of Rebirth, and Remake Part 1 has been ported, or is gonna be coming out to Switch 2 this year. And I think we all expect Rebirth to be coming over as well at some point. So yeah, that leads me to my own kind of speculation now. In my opinion, I think we are going to hear something this year. I suspect when when we get an update on Remake for the Switch, I would imagine they're going to also announce Rebirth, and I think we're finally going to hear about Part 3, because in my opinion, I think one of the things is, I personally think they want this final part to be multi-part. This has been one of the big things in Square Enix right now. They've been, there's been a lot of shifts internally, people moving, there's been a lot of cancelled projects and the like. And one thing, obviously because they have a new CEO as well, right? One of the big things is pushing for more multi-platform stuff. So like, as we know, there was Octopath 1 finally came to PS4, Octopath 2 finally came to Xbox, the Pixel remasters came to Xbox, a bunch of other games have been ported here and there. So yeah, I personally think that Part 3 is going to be multi-plat, and that's pretty much why we haven't heard anything. And I suspect that Square will, like I said, when they finally give us the release date for Remake for Switch 2 and the announcement of Rebirth, they will speak about it there. And I think sticking with Unreal Engine 4 means that they can develop specifically for the Switch 2 as well. And, I think they will probably want it demoed out on PC as well. So I just think that's going to be the case. More than likely, we'll probably finally hear about the Xbox release as well. And yeah, I would imagine that will coincide with like a Windows version. So there's potential it could be on there as well, day one potentially. But yeah, we just have to wait and see on that. Also, I think, yeah, like I said, I think we'll finally hear about it, but it will probably just be a trailer. I personally think it'll probably be a couple of years till it comes out. There is a potential it could be out next year, maybe, but we just have to wait and see. So, I think, yeah, personally, 2027 is my guess. Mainly because that's going to be the 30-year anniversary of 7. So I think it just makes sense to do it then, It may not necessarily coincide perfectly with that, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's when we finally get it. I think it just makes sense. So next up, obviously, Final Fantasy 17. So, what do we know so far? So, obviously, the lead battle director, sorry, I forget his name, he's basically been put in charge of 17, and we know that he, obviously, 16 was more of a character action game, so I'm assuming we're going to basically see a continuation of that with 17. Potentially, we'll see maybe that battle system implemented with the party or something. Obviously, we don't really know much else, but we do know that it's basically still in the planning stage at this point. You know, I think it was about a year or so ago they were talking about, you know, the early pre-production of 17. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we hear something about it this year and it could potentially be out next year. Yeah, I personally wouldn't be shocked. As we know, they've cancelled a lot of projects now, and I think personally they're going to be kind of streamlining things. We're going to see less of these kind of, you know, because for the past few years, Square have been releasing a lot of games, random games, new IPs, all sorts of other things, and I think now, you know, they've had a lot of games that have underperformed. So I think, yeah, I expect a lot of focus to be on 17. As we know, I think, you know, there's kind of been this thing about basically, you know, Square Enix weren't happy with 16's performance. I think a large amount of that, though, is obviously the marketing. I think we can all agree with that. It felt like they didn't really do a lot with the game, in my opinion. Yeah, and I think that will be a big thing with 17. Personally, I think they're going to be making a big deal about this game. You know, you look back at 15, how they kind of, you know, they really, you couldn't move for the marketing of that game. There was like a movie, there was a TV show, there was like mobile apps, they even had like kind of a beat 'em up game, all these extra things, you know, before the game even released, and it felt like they made a massive deal about it. And I suspect that's going to be one of the biggest things with 17. So yeah, I would imagine maybe Summer Games Fest or something. We're probably going to hear about it, or probably a PlayStation showcase. I still think 17 will probably be time exclusive on PlayStation though. Yeah, because, you know, as we all know, Sony don't really have any big Japanese games anymore, and you know, they'll need a big release, and I think 17 just makes sense. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much all I think. Obviously, in other kind of Square Enix news, yeah, I think we're also gonna probably see something to do with Kingdom Hearts Fall pretty soon as well. I wouldn't be surprised, and we know Dragon Quest 12 is in development as well, and none of these projects have been kind of updated on, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Square Enix hold their own little conference, or they have a big presence at an Xbox or a Switch or something showcase at some point. Yeah, probably, like I said, Summer Games Fest, more than likely, in a few months. I think that's in July or something, isn't it? I would imagine that's going to be like, Square Enix is going to have a massive presence there, and we'll see a lot of what they've got cooking. I mean, we still don't even have a release date for Dragon Quest 1 and 2, so I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, we get, you know, a massive thing, release date on that, updates on the other games, and all sorts. So yeah, I think, yeah, to me anyway, it feels like Square Enix have been eerily quiet recently, and I think it's just about time they come out with something. And yeah, I just hope it's not too soon, or I hope it's sooner rather than later. But anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.